All right, so we are live. Welcome everybody to this awesome conversation that I get to have today with my friend Jay. Jay and I have been in a coaching partnership for the last 6 months, basically. We started at the beginning of the year, and today we're going to get to just have a conversation about his experience in the program and yeah, just where he started, what got created in the experience together, and the pathway that he's creating forward. So I'm really excited to just get to have this conversation with him, and just see where we go and see what gets created. So thank you, Jay, for being willing to take the time and just share your experience with others.
Oh, no, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. You've helped me greatly. And, I sort of, well, not sort of, I certainly hope that this interview and others can help people find you.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you for that. Anything you want to share with folks before we even, dive into the coaching experience? Anything that, you'd want people to know about you, what you're up to in the world currently?
Um, I've been in automotive performance all my life. And, it was 17 years in marriage. And in 21, I found myself leaving both a 15-year employment stint. Um, Ultimately, I was the first employee there, and the owners put a cousin in charge, and he and I did not see eye to eye at all. Um, I knew for many years that I knew my wife and I didn't see eye to eye. And what I didn't realize was what codependency was. And I was both codependent in my career and my personal relationship. And it was funny because that's all I had were those two things. My wife made sure that I didn't have anything else outside of, outside of her relationship with me. And I didn't realize how broken I was to be going down that road, and how devastating it was for me. Um, and it caused me to abandon myself. And it just, I didn't even realize it was happening. So, through a lot of work prior to finding you, I was able to find the right words to Google and do some work on my own from a healing perspective. But um, really and truly, where the value was for me was um, coming out of all I knew career wise and losing that and losing a relationship. Um, who was I? And discovering who I was, not only from the positive, but when I was scared, what showed up, and being able to not only accept that individual, but be grateful for that person, that those people that I now am able to have conversations with.
Hmm.
Really value. Um, yeah, I think that 6 month process with you, I really truly discovered who I was.
Hmm.
Um, you know, Better define my purpose, and I changed my path. And
Mm.
at the end, a year or two ago, I was very confused. I thought my path was my purpose, and
Hmm.
it wasn't. So yeah, I think that's pretty much what I would like others to know that I learned in this process. And in terms of um, anything else, please ask.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and thanks for sharing that, just giving perspective of some of the things that have been, going on in your life these last couple of years, the impacts that they had on you. You've mentioned there was the codependent part of it, and then, really just discovering yourself over these last couple of years, leading you to where you are now. And, I don't want to just step over the work that you had done prior to coming into the coaching experience.
Sure.
Um, and I would, I would just be curious to hear like, what were some of those stepping stones that helped support you after the relationship and after leaving that career?
So prior to finding you, I had spent about 6 months working full time on myself, and but it was coming from a place of, I would say, severe codependency, to the point of I didn't even know what the term codependent meant, and
Hmm.
so I was listening to a lot of audiobooks. I established a safe place for myself where I was living alone, um, and the process involved a counselor. Um, Stephanie has been phenomenal, and she was probably about my eighth counselor in about 2 decades. And I'm very grateful to have worked with her, and I continue to work with her. We're working together every other week, and she's able to do so much with my past and what has why I feel the way I do sometimes. And but there was a lot missing there. So I searched and I found on Instagram um, um, an individual. I think it's Awakening with Brian or something to that effect. And so we did a lot of inner child work. We did 4 months of inner child work where every other week we were on a 1 hour phone call or video chat, and he was walking me through inner child meditations. And at the time, when I was going through my divorce, I reunited with a friend from high school that we moved cross country together, but it didn't work out. And it was we were going to move in together, but that would have been just another repeat for me of jumping into a relationship where, that adage, like attracts like.
Hmm.
Um, Gosh, I didn't know how true it was. And then you keep repeating your mistakes until you learn the lesson. And man, that one was hitting me over the head really hard. And it took 9 months to get over her, to the point where I I could run into her in public now and say hi, I hope you're doing well, and keep walking and mean it. And I will love that woman till the day I die, but she's not meant to be in my life. What
Hmm.
the purpose for her, for me, was to show me where I needed to do the work, to show
Mm.
me what the meditations need to be, to show me the topics that Andrew, you and I needed to discuss. So all that groundwork was really just many audiobooks. And of course, I think a lot of people find you with the No More Mr. Nice Guy book. And that and Psychopath Free and a couple of others, Whole Again, all really truly helped me understand um, where I needed to work and the abandonment issues. I had a lot of growing up. I had a lot of difficult experiences that I guess um, we'd call them traumatic experiences. At 3 years old, my father is having a yard sale, and he puts a for sale sign on my forehead for a quarter. I didn't realize it took me, 40 some odd years to figure out that that really hurt. And
Hmm.
that abandonment and the like. And then come to find out that no matter what my parents did, they did the best job they could. They were just trying to, do and accept that. And then, um, I started that work prior to you, but you really helped bring the messaging home. And acceptance, it has been one of the biggest lessons that you've brought for me.
Mm.
And but it couldn't have been, I couldn't have gotten to acceptance without the groundwork of starting those conversations with the inner child. And I've still continue those today in meditation, and we'll probably continue those for many years. It's I was having a conversation with my current girlfriend, and she's like, mentioned something about having a conversation with like 4 or 5 of my personalities, and she's like, you're freaking nuts with all these personalities and all. And looking at me like, really, you have multiple personalities? And she listened to the book, and she got what I was talking about eventually. But it was funny. And she's also in the healing path, in
Hmm.
the journey. And so I don't know. I think there's an answer to your question in there probably about 5 minutes ago. But the
Yeah,
focus on myself started beforehand, and really continues.
absolutely. Yeah, and I think that really it highlights like the journey is one that continues, and
And it's not a
you
straight line.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Um, and so we started to come into conversation, in I believe early 2023. Uh, and what made you decide to jump into the Authentic Man coaching experience? Like what was sort of the catalyst there that you knew that was the program for you at the time?
Well, I trusted that it was,
Mm,
and that I think that I knew there were lessons for me with the book that brought me to you, and but I learned through experience more so than through reading. So I knew an instructor led, conversation led um, program was what I needed. I had investigated others, but I think for me, at the time when I found you, I was trying to really become a star of my life as opposed to a co-star of someone else's, and put
hmm
myself first. And I think your Facebook page, your conversation in our initial conversation, you kind of outlined the what I thought I needed, and I think it hit many parts of it. I would say there were probably also 3 other programs I was evaluating at the time, and I just I don't know. I just trusted that this was the right one. I wish I could say this is what did it, but I think it was, I interviewed with 2 others, and decided on this one. It wasn't, that you weren't the most expensive, you weren't the least expensive, you were in the middle. And I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know the answer, other than it felt right. I trusted my
hmm
gut.
Well, and I think that's a great um, just example of what you continue to cultivate throughout the experience was this trust, this intuition that I just it kind of puts a smile on my face to see where that started, which was already in a powerful place, a place that you were continuing to grow in, and then even to see like where you are now in terms of trust and you know trusting the unknown, trusting the universe. Like it's just exciting to see that connection that occurred, from where we
Yeah.
started to where we completed.
Yeah, it's so much easier just to understand that just because you want it, that doesn't mean it's going to happen or it's supposed to happen. And there are many things, There are many things that you want that are better off not happening, and you just need to trust that there's a bigger reason. And that has definitely been fostered in these conversations.
Absolutely. And if you think back on the experience, like what were some of the highlights or the things that really stood out to you that maybe you hadn't experienced before or was presented in a different way?
Man, so there were no highlights that came easy.
Mm.
I would say the exercise for determining my essence. And,
Uh-huh.
it's making those phone calls and asking those questions and getting the answers. It was eye opening, and it was like, how do people see this in me?
Mm.
And,
Mhm.
and that's what you want to be, or what I wanted to be, and but the self doubt and the all of the negative crap that comes up as defense mechanisms, to for whatever reason that creates that doubt around all of that, and realizing, no, that is me. And that's I did that exercise twice. I did it with the group, and I did it in our individual. So I one short of 20 phone calls. I had 19 phone calls. So, but the theme was resounding. And yeah, those 5 essence words really stood out. I still have them printed and sitting on the wall, and visit with them. And then between that and then who I am when fear is involved,
Mhm.
defense mechanisms. Yeah, those were the highlights for sure. Because that is who I am, and
Mhm.
that was the first time I saw myself as that. And even who I am when I show up when I'm scared, I'm proud of.
Yeah.
Those defense mechanisms really, they've saved me in the past. Yeah, I'm still alive because of them, but they don't need to run my life anymore.
Mhm. Yeah, I
So,
mean,
that
oh, sorry. Got a little bit of a audio
that
issue there
that
for a
that,
second.
that freedom is certainly a highlight.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I mean, really, I've it's funny that you share that around the essence because like my experience of you is like, oh, you flowed through that process quite seamlessly. Like, there wasn't really a discussion around like, oh, this is awkward. You just went and did it. And I still remember some of the, pieces that you shared afterwards of like, oh, I like, you know, can I trust this? Almost like,
Yeah, yeah.
um, you know, people actually like see this about me, and then just sort of like the real like acceptance of it. And the beautiful part I really remember was as we distinguished your survival mechanisms and the wholeness as you're speaking to that unlocked. And it would be awesome to hear you share just about, what are you noticing just by being in tuned with your essence and your survival mechanism as you go about your day-to-day life?
Well, it's we've defined. You've helped me define my purpose as trust, and that is been so difficult for me, and it still is.
Hmm.
I'm still working on that, but it took the opinion of third parties to convince me of who I am instead of me just trusting who I am. And
Mm.
that yeah, that's still showing up every day. That um, trust and joy are really sum it up nicely. Yes, leadership's in there, and one thing that wasn't identified in there but shows up every day is passion, and
Mm-hmm.
it's an awareness that allows me to, if something isn't, it allows me to be myself. And if someone isn't going to accept me for who I am, screw it. We don't. They don't need to be in my life, and that gives me the confidence to go through the day with being me,
Mm-hmm.
and trusting that what's meant to happen is going to. And I that's how I try to live my day. I'm not successful every day, but my current girlfriend and I, we care very deeply for each other. But actually, I think it was the day after our last session, um, we had a couple of issues where we spent some time apart on our own, reflecting on what we wanted, because there was some difficulty with her accepting some of the bad parts of me. I have some health issues, so
Mm-hmm.
her accepting that I have health issues and being in a relationship, and it's like I I told her I need someone that's going to love me for all of me, the good and the bad, not just the good. And I was able to walk away, and even though I didn't want to, and
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, it made our relationship stronger. And but that's one instance of really trusting that if someone isn't going to accept me fully, then I don't need them in my life, and vice versa. So it helps cut the bullshit. It
Mm-hmm.
also, I think, on a daily basis, it's also important for me to realize that what shows up when I'm acting out of fear, and if I'm acting out of fear, I can change that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm learning to change anxiety into excitement, or feel the anxiety and say, that's not what I want, so I'm going to go do something else.
Mm-hmm.
And that's powerful. That's incredibly powerful. It's um, still learning what I like and what I don't like. So, that gets a little confusing sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
because it's just the feeling of anxiousness and excitement feels the same, but where are you going to act from? And trying to position that as excitement when I want to it's happening more frequently.
I mean, it's such a beautiful thing, right? Like among many of the things that you shared, but like creating a life where the people in our lives fully want to be in our lives and we want to fully be in their lives and champion them as well. That is what builds deep connection and deep relationship. And what amazing work you've done to get to that place where that is just who you are. That is how you show up in the world. And that you continue to get to just like build that. I mean, oftentimes what I hear is that like our the place that we can show up, at I'll call it like our deepest is when we get to be fully expressed in the world. We just get to go about our lives and be at choice, understand, what it is that we want and truly empower that. And so it's really just so amazing to hear like this is where you've come to. And so, as we start to wind down in our conversation here, I'm curious about what you see is next for yourself. Where does this journey go next for you?
Well, we've started. I've committed to myself to put a vision board together, and
Hmm.
I've started doing the research on that. And I'm going to do it a little bit differently. I'm going to do the vision board, but below that, I'm going to outline how. Below the vision board are the steps of how I accomplish. Um, and the life I want to create, the relaxation I want to create, and the relationships I want to have, the sports I want to play, and the health I want to improve. Um, Really, those are the next steps. Is putting a vision on a poster, effectively, of what I want, and from there, act like it's already happened and be grateful for it and create the feeling of enjoying that creation, and then move through the steps necessary to create it.
Hmm. Yeah, and a place to just explore even one step further would be like, who do you want to be in that? What qualities of being do you want to step into on this next part of your journey?
Yeah, it's trust and joy. I mean, that's, that is trust, joy, and passion. They're all closely related for me. And you know I'm finding that in my career. I'm also working on a second career, and also in my relationship with my girlfriend, and as well as my friends. And fostering those relationships.
Hmm. It's amazing because the work that we committed to in this experience together was really cultivating that trust, expanding on joy, and you can feel it. You can feel it in the place that you're at now, and I really hear like the intention of following that path even more, like
Well,
just, yeah, go ahead.
well, and more so without, um, maybe I'll drink on occasion,
Hmm.
but I don't want alcohol a daily part of my life. And the confidence that I feel when I have alcohol, I would like to foster that on my own, and that I do believe will come with the trust and the plan.
Hmm. Absolutely. Well, thanks for sharing your journey, your experience to this point. I'd like to give you some acknowledgement if you would be accepting.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah. One piece that we did well, we of course we touched on it, but I really want to acknowledge you for the trust that you are both generating and continually bringing more of into your life. I just reflect on these last conversations that we had and really expanding on the trust in the universe, expanding on who you get to be in the world and who you get to, connect with. And I would say really tapping into the possibility or even like just the opportunity that is all around you. It's been really, really powerful to watch you continue to lay those planks down, down the pathway. I really want to acknowledge you for your intention. From day one of you taking on this experience, you really you brought such power, such commitment to the space, and even in those moments where you had health issues come up and exhaustion or tiredness set in, you still continue to create. You're still creating now, and you're looking for the ways to be healthy, to continue to expand on the resources that are available for you. And so I really want to acknowledge you for that, because that intention really is such a driver of the creation of your life. Um, and lastly, I want to acknowledge you for the connection that you are, because you truly are a connector. You bring so much, humor into the space, and love, and I really see the commitment that you bring to the people in your life. So thank you for, just showing that in our time together, and um, really just being all in. It's so awesome to watch, and I'm really honored that I got to be on this experience with you.
Well, thank you so much. It's your guidance has been incredible.
Hmm.
Certainly wouldn't have had this progress without you. Thank you.
Thank you. Um, I know we didn't touch on, well, we sort of touched on it at the start of our conversation prior to recording, but if, you know, men come into, it come by this video, or people want to connect with you, is there a way, that people can reach out to you, or just be in connection with you going forward?
Yeah, certainly on Facebook, Jay Payson. That's probably the best place for it. I'm um, not on social media a lot, but
Hmm.
that's as good a place as any. And I do check Messenger pretty regularly.
Awesome. Yeah, for sure. There was a piece I was going to add there. I can't think of it now. But yeah, please. Oh yeah, I do remember now. So please feel free to connect with Jay. He's such an awesome guy. He's up to, some really great things in life, and yeah, you'll really enjoy the conversations that you get to have with him. And one thing I'll just put for folks who are watching this on the replay: if you have questions or, curiosities, please feel free to put them in the chat, or in the comments afterwards. I'll be sure to check on them, and then if there's anything specifically you have for Jay, I'll be sure to share those with him. So thanks for those who, had a chance to stop in and listen to this, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.
Bye.